this is going to be our trigger point release technique for our glutes. Now the glutes are a big powerful muscle situated in the back of the hip, and we use them a lot in squatting movements and in lunging type movements. We use them in running as well. And if we're standing up or if we're sitting down for long periods of time, not really doing too much movement, they can get very weak, but they can also get very, very tight if we're in the same position for long periods of time. So ungluing them with the foam roll or with the lacrosse ball can be really helpful to restore good movement in the body. Now we've done the foam roll technique already, but using the ball, I'm going to place the ball right up against the hip as I sit down, and then using my finger and thumb, hold it in position as I lean down into the pressure of the ball. Now bring my arm away in the same way that we did with the foam roll, and one hand holding the knee of the side that I'm working on, and then from here I can lean into the ball. Now I'm not sure if you can see the ball very well from there, but I'm pushing the ball into the hip just as much as I can tolerate, using this foot, the non-working side, kind of leaning into it, using my body weight as well to apply the pressure that is right for me, that is tolerable and comfortable. Now if you imagine wearing trousers with pockets on the back, I'm just on the corner edge of where the pocket would be, just behind the outside of the leg bone, the greater trochanter, and applying that little bit of pressure in, not moving a great deal. And I want to keep my knee from falling down onto the mat, because that closes up the angle, and by holding it up I can get more of the tissue exposed and available to that pressure. So I'm just working across from side to side, strumming or moving across the ball. And once again, like a lot of our techniques, it's quite tender, quite uncomfortable at the time, and it's the release that comes afterwards as you finish up and start moving around. So tightness in the hip, particularly in the glutes, this outside edge of the hip, can develop these tight gripping type patterns that we get in the hips. And this can upset a lot of the joint segments through the body. It can have reaching effects into the back, into the low back, into the hip as well, and even down to the knee and even the ankle. So this is a really key area to spend a bit of time releasing. I'm just going to lift this material up here so you can see roughly where I'm working. So I'm just resting on this elbow. It's a relatively comfortable position. I want to try and make these positions as easy and as comfortable as possible so that we can spend time working on these release techniques without having to spend too much effort doing them, but so we can also relax the rest of the body. Once again, remember to use those breathing techniques. By breathing nice and slowly, nice and deeply, we can create a relaxation, a stimulation of our parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest part of the nervous system, and that'll aid in releasing tension through the body. So we're just working across any tight areas, any knots, any trigger points. And again, this is an area where you might find just resting on a single trigger point might be all that's needed. No big movements, just nice and slow. And right. Good. So as I come up off of the ball, back to standing, the area we're going to be working on is just around where my hand is here. So if I close my hand to a fist, anywhere in this region it is a good place to work. And if I go down and test some movements, some squatting movements, or a split squat or lunge, that part of the hip is going to feel nice and free and light and easy to move. And that is our trigger point release technique for our glutes.